Okay. Today's topic is new tips for pocket creation method of ESD. Okay. We reported, my colleague, Dr. Hayashi, reported this pocket creation method of ESD to overcome the difficulty in the lesion which has a severe fibrosis like this. And then using this pocket creation method, the dissection of the submucosa is made before making the circumferential mucosal incision. The mucosal incision is just for the opening of the pocket. That is the unique feature of this pocket creation method. And then we realized that the pocket creation method has several advantages. 4 main advantages. One is prevention of the leakage of injected solution. So you can get a good protrusion, good mucosal elevation throughout the procedure. And the tip of the endoscope goes into the submucosal space. So good traction is applied by stretching the submucosal tissue with this hood. And the approaching angle can be adjusted to become horizontal, tangential to the muscle layer. And respiratory movement is lessened by synchronizing between endoscope and the pocket. So now the pocket creation method is the standard procedure of ESD in my institution. So I want to tell the tips for the pocket creation method. The tips number 1, please use an ST hood. ST hood is the hood with the tapered tip. This is a short type ST hood, and this is another type of ST hood. The outer diameter of the tip of the hood is only 7 millimeter in diameter, okay? And using this hood, the knife is directed to the center of the opening of the hood. So the selection of the dissection plane becomes much easier, okay? And you can get a good, stable control. And the disadvantage of using this type of hood is the endoscopic view is interfered with the hood. But that is only true when you are outside of the pocket. When the endoscope is inside of the pocket, then a clear view can be obtained with the ST hood like this. I want to show you some tips. First of all, the injection. Injection should be into the submucosal layer. Stick the needle to the submucosal layer and pull back the needle and then inject. Please avoid injecting into the muscle layer. If you inject into the muscle layer, then the rest of the procedure becomes difficult. Once you make a good protrusion, then stick the needle at the base of the protrusion to extend the mucosal elevation like this. So the tip number 2 is make a good mucosal elevation. That is very important for safe ESD. And how to make an initial submucosal dissection. After the mucosal incision, before going into the submucosal layer with the tip of the hood, the submucosal dissection right below the mucosa can be repeated several times, a few times, like 2 or 3 times. That time, use the tip of the sheath of the knife. So tip number 3, initial submucosal dissection should be right below the mucosa, lifting the mucosa with the shaft of the knife. It's okay to be shallow at this point because the mucosa is still outside of the tumor, normal mucosa. So you don't have to go too deep. Then diving into the submucosal layer with the tip of the ST hood. After several submucosal dissection with the knife, then you can get a good enough space to go into the submucosal space with the tip of the ST hood. When you go into the submucosal space, the water jet can be used to open the wound. Use the tip of the ST hood with water jet to get into the submucosal space. And after entering into the submucosal space, then I inject the mucoap, that is the mucinous substance, to the right above the muscle layer. Then the dissection becomes easier. Additional injection right above the muscle layer make the submucosal dissection easy. And this is the lesion of the rectum. When I perform the ESD in the rectum, I often encounter this kind of muscle layer. The muscle layer is not continuous. So don't inject between the muscle fibers. Then the muscle fibers can be separated, and dissecting between the muscle layer can make perforation without cutting the muscle itself. We call that window blind appearance because the muscle looks like a window blind like this. And the recognition of muscle layer by changing the direction. This is the submucosal layer, and this is the muscle layer. But by changing the direction of the tip of the ST hood, the muscle layer can be recognized better. So swing the tip of ST hood to recognize the muscle layer clearly. And how to measure the depth of pocket? After completion of the pocket, you open the pocket, but when you can tell the pocket is completed? Sorry. This is the submucosal pocket. And measure, I put my hand to the anus and measure the depth of the pocket and inserted the same length and compared the depth of the pocket with the size of the lesion. And depth is okay. And now the width. This is the left side, left edge of the lesion. Then I see the inside of the pocket, and it's almost okay. In this way, I can measure the depth of the pocket and match the depth to the size of the lesion. And the color of the lesion changes where the pocket has been created. So this information is also useful. So compare the depth of the pocket and the size of the lesion to determine the completion of the pocket. And open the pocket. To open the pocket, use the knife from the inside of the pocket to the outside, to the direction of the luminal side. This is the safe direction. And then mucosal incision. Then submucosal dissection again. So step by step, mucosal incision and submucosal dissection, step by step. Before opening the pocket, I usually inject additional injection before mucosal incision. Then hook the submucosal tissue from inside of the pocket towards the mucosal incision, like this. So open the pocket from the inside of the pocket to the lumen of the colon. And for larger lesions, pocket creation method with Pulley C Elastic line traction is very useful. This is reported by my colleague, Dr. Nomura, and this is the video. This is a large lesion, and submucosal pocket has been created already. And this is the elastic line, and pulling the lesion. Then you can maintain a good traction. So with that traction, the opening of the pocket is very easy, stable, and the ESD can be completed. Use traction method with the clip and line for opening the pocket. And the short double balloon endoscope, this 155 centimeter double balloon endoscope can stabilize the endoscope control, even in the colon, the proximal colon. You can have a good endoscopic control. So this is a live demonstration. The lesion was in the ascending colon on the fold. And using the double balloon endoscope, I just placed the over tube on the table, and just with the left hand, the control can be done. So even with the double balloon endoscope, that endoscope control can be done just by myself. Use a short double balloon endoscope to stabilize the procedure in the colon. And this is the initial submucosal dissection. Use the tip of the sheet to lift up the mucosa, and just shallow dissection I made. And several times, a few times I repeat. Then I use water jet, and lift up the mucosa with the tip of the ST hood. Then I can go into the submucosal space. And the muscle layer, I can see through the muscle layer and change the direction to the safe direction, and submucosal dissection can be performed. This is the muscle layer. Muscle layer is whitish. Change the direction and make it safe and dissect. Okay. And you see, this is the pocket. And remember that the lesion was located on the fold. So this is the fold, muscle. So you have to have a good imagination, and even on the fold, the muscle fold can be pressed down by the tip of the ST hood and make the approaching angle tangential. And when I see a blood vessel, I don't cut the blood vessel immediately, just leave it. And then change to the low wattage of spray coagulation, like 8 watts, and then apply the current and coagulate from the side of the blood vessel. Then the blood vessel can be coagulated to become whitish. Then I cut. In this way, I can avoid the bleeding. And when I cut the blood vessel, I cut here, not too close to the muscle layer, not too close to the muscle layer. If you cut here, it will make bleeding. So you have to select this level, cut. Then the coagulated blood vessel remains and prevent the bleeding. Isolate and coagulate the blood vessel before cutting. And this is the completion of the pocket. Compare the depth of the pocket inside and match to the length of the lesion outside. In this way, I could tell that the pocket was deep enough and compare the side and width is wide enough. Then I can start opening the pocket. So the width was a little bit not enough, so I dissected a little bit more. And this is the right side. This is the edge of the border of the lesion. And the width is okay. So now the pocket is completed, and I want to show you the saline immersion therapeutic endoscopy site. For opening the pocket, this area becomes difficult to approach. In that case, I injected saline, and under the saline immersion, I could see the submucosal tissue very clearly. And with saline immersion technique, the bubble formation is a bit cumbersome. But in that case, if I use end cut mode, cutting current, then bubble formation is minimized. This is the coagulation mode. But change to the end cut. Now, under the saline immersion, the view is very, very clear. And now, end cut. With end cut, the bubble formation is minimum. But using end cut, more bleeding is a problem. So you shouldn't cut the blood vessel with end cut. And saline immersion therapeutic endoscopy was reported by Edward Despot. And saline immersion therapeutic endoscopy facilitates pocket creation method for endoscopic submucosal dissection. And open the pocket. And in this case, I remained, I left a little bit of tissue on the left side to avoid losing the traction. And then dissect the right side. This is the little bit of tissue remained. And the completion of the pocket, completion of the opening of the pocket. And I also use the gravity for the traction. Now gravity works this way. And just a little bit of tissue, but before cutting it, I cut the other side first because this is a little bit of tissue I remained. So cutting the lower side of the gravity first, then last tissue. It's easy to cut because the specimen hangs down by the gravity. So this is the finishing the ESD. So conclusions. Pocket creation method makes ESD stable and reliable, and ST hood is essential for pocket creation method. And the combination of following techniques makes ESD easy. One is the pocket creation method and traction method like clip with a line, and saline immersion therapeutic endoscopy, and short double balloon endoscope. Thank you for your attention.